and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1982B, and today's date is September 29th, 2019, and the title of the episode is, Why is the Deep State Panicking? There's only one word that describes it: treason. Now, before we get started, I wanted to talk about being prepared. With all the common threats nowadays in America, especially with the major earthquakes happening in California, the future of America and the stability of its power grid are not promised, and either is your safety. One of the best things you can invest in for your protection if the lights go out is a solar power bank. And why not purchase one of the best solar banks on the market, the Patriots Solar Bank? Take advantage now and give you and your family the gift of power anywhere in the world. Please visit patriotssolarbank.com. Use the code X15 to get 15% off. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. The deep state, the mainstream media, they know the clock is ticking down. Barr and team have not leaked any information from all their investigations. The deep state, they are completely in the dark. They don't know where the patriots are at. But they do know they are close. The deep state, the mainstream media, they are now projecting everything they feel onto the president. MSNBC tweeted out the following: Panic has set in at the White House, where, according to our source, aides are increasingly wary that the president could respond erratically and become unmanageable. Now let's translate this. Think mirror. The mainstream media is paranoid. They're acting irrational over the Barr investigation, over the whistleblower. The deep state could respond erratically and push an event. See what they're doing here? It's everything they're feeling because they realize the walls are closing in on them. And when you hear their discussions, most of them don't even make sense. They're just pushing propaganda. They're not sticking to facts. They don't even want to talk about the facts. Actually, they interrupt people when they want to talk about the facts. Now, as we know, the elections are coming up, and I need to go back to post 2219 first. And this is about running for president. Q says, watch those announcing 2020 presidential running. You cannot attack a political opponent. None are protected. None are safe. So here in this post, Q is letting us know that there are going to be certain individuals that are going to get into the presidential race. We've seen a lot who have said, hey, I'm throwing my hat into the ring. I'm going for it. Why? Because they think they can't be attacked. There are certain other individuals that have not done this as of yet. But very interestingly, we see that an executive at Disney has already resigned. And now we have Oprah Winfrey recommending that Disney CEO run for president. She tweeted out the following: This is the man I wish was running for president of the U.S. His decency prevails in all decision-making. His 10 steps for leadership revealed in his new book, Ride of a Lifetime, apply to every business and every life. Now the question is, why would the CEO of Disney need to run for the presidency? Because soon Disney is going to be implicated, most likely in a lot of these sex scandals. Things will get worse for Disney, and running for president will allow them to claim political persecution when it all comes out. And guess what? It will not work. And I do believe as more and more of this information comes out, we're going to see others throw their hat into the ring. I mean, there's even talk of Hillary Clinton thinking about running for president once again. Now, she can go two ways. She can either try to run for president, where she can use it as, hey, you can't attack me politically. You can't use the uranium one, the email scandal, and everything else against me, the dossier and all the other stuff. Or she can say, oh, look, I'm getting ill now, and you don't want to attack a person that is coming down with some type of illness. We'll have to see which way she plays this. Now, the deep state, they're pushing the whistleblower scandal very hard. They need an impeachment. Remember, the patriots are pushing them in this direction. They think they're in control. The mainstream media thinks they're doing an incredible job reporting on this whistleblower, pushing their narrative. But this is exactly what the patriots wanted. This is exactly what they wanted them to do. This was planned out. This just didn't pop up. And they wanted them to go down this path. We'll explain later why they want this to happen. But the mainstream media and the deep state, they're pushing the idea that Trump was trying to hide the phone calls of Zelensky. He was pushing a cover-up. But it turns out that Obama, he did the same exact thing. And it has nothing to do with a cover-up. It's procedure. Former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, she acknowledged that the Obama administration moved transcripts of conversations with foreign leaders onto the same top-secret server where the Trump administration stored his recent phone calls with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Now, the mainstream media, they've painted the use of this top-secret server as proof that Trump was trying to cover up the contents of his conversation with Zelensky. But how could it be a cover-up when Trump released it to the public? Ooh, they never thought he was going to do this, but they're sticking to the same ridiculous story. He's covering it up, but he released the transcript. Does that make any sense? No. The practice of securing presidential phone transcripts has been in use in the White House since 2017, after sensitive conversations with foreign leaders were leaked to the press. This is basically standard operating procedure, and if a president wants to put his conversation on a secure server so it doesn't get out there, he has the right to do this. And the mainstream media, they're making this a really big deal when it really isn't. Why? Because they never thought he was going to release his transcripts. I mean, the story would work a lot better for them if he never released the transcript. Then they can say, oh, look, he's covering it up. He put it on a secure server. He doesn't want anyone to see it. Then they can use the whole entire narrative that he's covering it up. But he countered all of this by releasing his transcripts. Now we have the original transcripts, and we have Zelensky saying, there's nothing here. But they're going along with the whistleblower who didn't even hear the conversation. They got it from somebody else. So it's like playing telephone. Now, as we discussed on Friday, the whistleblower docs were altered, and the whistleblower complaint might not be legal under the law. Matt Beebe released a series of tweets that explains this, but I'm just going to summarize all the tweets. The deep state changed the requirements for filling out the whistleblower form, and in August allowed whistleblowers to use hearsay when filing a complaint. At this time, the whistleblower filled out the form slandering Trump using hearsay. The deep state intel community only updated their online site regarding whistleblower protections 4 days ago to reflect the recent changes before the recent complaint was released. This was done in spite of zero legislative action on the related regulations. The term urgent concern is now used 10 times in the Congressional Research Service manual and was only used 2 times in the prior publication. The CRS also recently added wording for addressing disagreements between the Director of National Intelligence and Intelligence Community Inspector General. The CRS cites the regulation for the ICIG chapter and verse for all but 3 paragraphs in the footnotes to the CRS manual. This is in Section 3A-II, which discusses the ICIG's authority to report directly to Congress. The CRS omits a key clause in the law related to the types of people that the ICIG can investigate. It related to only current or former employees of the intelligence community. This is the key. The law does not require a whistleblower complaint of President Trump be provided to Congress. As a matter of fact, only whistleblower complaints of current or former intel community employees are to be reviewed by the ICIG, and only these investigations have a requirement to be forwarded to Congress. The CRS then added an editorial note that is highly debatable but comes across as fact. It states that who makes the call on whether something is urgent concern is unknown. This implies that Congress can make this call, but the statute indicates that this is a decision to be made within the intel community. Trump should step in and send the issue directly to the courts. The statute requires that all investigations within the intel community by the ICIG be intel employees, past and present. Trump is not included in that class. So the question is, did the deep state do this for one whistleblower? No. They did this so they can attack Trump DDoS style. What does that mean? That means a lot of people hitting him at once. Brennan tweeted out the following: "There is no limit on the number of individuals who can use the whistleblower statute. If you think you were involved in an unlawful activity as a result of a directive from Mr. Trump or someone doing his bidding, now is the time to report it." Think about what they're doing. The deep state went ahead and they're going all out to stop Trump. This shows the level of panic they are in. Representative Doug Collins asked the following question. He tweeted out the following: "Whistleblower standards used to settle for nothing less than first-hand knowledge. Why did those standards get lowered to hearsay days before the Ukrainian complaint went public? We know why. This was a coordinated plan to attack Trump." So then Trump chimed in with his tweets. "The whistleblower's complaint is completely different and at odds from my actual conversations with the new president of Ukraine. The so-called whistleblower knew practically nothing, and that those ridiculous charges were far more dramatic and wrong, just like little Adam Schiff fraudulently and illegally inserted his made-up and twisted words into my call with Ukrainian president to make it look like I did something very wrong. He then boldly read those words to Congress and millions of people, defaming and libeling me. He must resign from Congress. The only people that don't like my conversation with the new Ukrainian president are those that heard Representative Adam Schiff read a made-up and totally fraudulent statement to the House and public, words that I did not say, but that he fabricated and admitted to his fabrication. Sick." Then strategically, Trump goes after the do-nothing Dems. This is part of the plan. I'll explain this a little later. He's setting them up. He tweeted out the following: "Can you imagine if these do-nothing Democrat savages, people like Nadler, Schiff, AOC +3, and many more, had a Republican Party who would have done to Obama what the do-nothings are doing to me? Oh well, maybe next time." Then he continued, "Presidential harassment," all caps. Then he said, "Make America great again. Keep America great." Why is he doing this? He is now setting up all these individuals that are pushing the propaganda to impeach. And we come to find out something very important about all of this, which kind of removes their entire narrative, their entire lie of this whistleblower, and their push saying that, oh, he held back Ukrainian aid so he can get the dirt on Biden, which we know that wasn't the conversation at all. But this is what they're trying to make everyone believe. Representative Mark Meadows revealed the whistleblower was wrong when he wrote in his report that the State Department official Ulrich Breckenball was on the call with Ukrainian president. He wasn't. The whistleblower was also in error when he insisted in his report the phone call transcript between Trump and Zelensky did not contain anything remotely sensitive. It did. And now we have this. The whistleblower claimed Trump threatened the Ukrainian president to play ball or he would withhold U.S. assistance to his country. We've come to find out that this is a complete lie. Why am I saying this? Because the Ukrainian government did not know the U.S. had suspended aid to the country until 1 month after the call. Think about that for a second. One, Trump never mentioned any of this. If you read the actual transcript, this is not what he said. The whistleblower has been wrong many, many times, and Ukraine, guess what? They didn't even know it was suspended until a month later. So he couldn't have been using this for leverage, even though he wasn't. This destroys their narrative completely. And the mainstream media is making it seem that what Trump did was out of the ordinary, asking another foreign leader to do something. It isn't. Trump isn't the only president that asked. Former federal prosecutor Andrew McCarthy noted that President Obama, his administration, asked Ukraine to investigate Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, in 2016. McCarthy notes the double standard, that Democrats want to impeach Trump for doing what Obama did, and which they have been telling the world for years was necessary to protect American national security interests. And this is what the deep state does. Well, we have to do this to protect the American national security interests. Oh, the whistleblower doesn't want to come forward because he's afraid of death threats. They put this out there to cover their cover-up. Now, Rudy Giuliani explains that it would violate the Constitution if he did not pursue evidence from foreign leaders. Take a listen to what Rudy Giuliani said when he was being interviewed by Judge Janine. Take a listen.
I just have the same question that goes over and over in my head. Don't leaders of foreign countries have the right to call each other up and ask each other for a favor?
In the case of evidence of serious criminal conduct, they have the obligation to do it. In fact, if the president hadn't done it, he would have violated Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. Now, I know the Democrats can yell, scream, posture, and do false things and silly things like Adam Schiff, but they can't just make these facts go away. What is alleged about Vice President Biden is an exceedingly serious sellout of public office.
So this whole entire whistleblower case is completely falling apart. And it's going to get worse. But again, this is what the patriots want. They're pushing them down this path, the path of no return. And guess what? They're taking the bait. Now, we know that Barr and team are investigating the deep state. And on Friday, Pelosi attacked Barr, attacking his reputation and implicated that he was involved in Ukraine somehow. We knew this was going to happen. The attacks are going to intensify as we move forward. We already see out of the mainstream media, they're already pushing out opinion pieces, op-ed pieces, and they're attacking Barr. They're attacking his reputation. They're saying that he could be corrupt. And out of the New York Times, we see the headline on this opinion piece, just how corrupt is Bill Barr. They're doing this and they're attacking Barr because they understand that he's going to be pushing all this information out to the public, and they want the public to think that he's corrupt, that he's doing this for a specific reason, that he was involved and he's trying to cover up all his actions. This will not work. Why? This has nothing to do with Barr. This has to do with the crimes these people committed. When the evidence is produced, and there are recordings, signatures, documentation, when they show the accounting records of where all the money flowed to, this will take the focus completely off Barr and onto these individuals. Now, of course, the mainstream media is going to try to spin that, but it's going to become more and more difficult as time goes on. And they're doing this on purpose to expose the mainstream media at every turn. So every time they fail, it's going to continue to happen. Once this is all said and done, and it shows that there's no impeachment, that the whistleblower had nothing, the mainstream media is going to look like fools once again, the same as they look like fools with Russian collusion. They even look like fools when they said that Trump is never going to release his transcript of the call. But guess what? They were completely wrong. What does this do? Well, every time they have a new wave of all this information coming out, they're going to continually hit the deep state, the mainstream media, and the mainstream media is going to be exposed each and every time. This is part of the plan. And now we understand that Pelosi is moving forward with impeachment. She hasn't had a vote yet. She's just pushing impeachment. So Trump, he tweeted out a question about impeachment. How do you impeach a president who has created the greatest economy in the history of our country, entirely rebuilt our military into the most powerful it has ever been, cut record taxes and regulations, fixed the VA and gotten choice for our vets after 45 years, and so much more? The conversation with the new and very good Ukraine president, who told the fake news at the United Nations that he was not pressured by me in any way, shape, or form, should by and of itself bring an end to the new and most recent witch hunt. Others ended in ashes. Now think about what he said. Others ended in ashes. This is what they're doing. They're pushing them down this path. They took the bait, and when everything is said and done, those individuals that followed along, they're going to end in ashes. I mean, look at all the evidence. It's in Trump's favor. He produced the transcript, completely transparent. It shows no quid pro quo. There's no cover-up. The president has the right to place a conversation on a secured server so it doesn't leak out. Plus, he released it. So if he released it, how's there a cover-up? The whistleblower form was altered to allow the whistleblower to report the incident. The whistleblower, it's not a first-hand account. It's telephone where they heard it from someone else. The whistleblower did not hear any of this, and most of it was wrong. The Ukrainian president did not know they were suspending aid until a month later, and the Ukrainian president said he was not pressured whatsoever. But the deep state and Pelosi, they know if they do not stop Trump now, right now, guess what? They're doomed. They're finished. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. How many more cooks can Nancy squeeze into her impeachment kitchen? She's tapped 6 committees and counting: Judiciary, Intelligence, Foreign Affairs, Oversight, Ways and Means, Financial Services. Pull up a chair, folks. This is going to be a hilarious shit show. Now, in the beginning of the report, we discussed that the Patriots wanted the D's to head down this path. This is why Rona McDonald tweeted out the following. This is just the beginning of an all-out fight to defend our democracy and our president. Dozens of House Dems campaigned on working with @real Donald Trump, yet fell in line with Pelosi and the squad. Voters don't support this impeachment charade, and it's going to backfire come 2020. Then Trump asked the question, and he tweeted out the following. Will happen to all those seeking unlawful impeachment in 50 Trump-type districts. We will win big. Once the impeachment fails, and it will fail, because remember, impeachment is based on evidence and facts. It's not based on propaganda. Those who push this through, and those who continually push very hard and it doesn't work out, what will happen to them in the next election? What will happen to them when they're exposed? They won't get reelected. One way of draining the swamp. One way of removing a block. One way of pushing the mainstream media, the deep state, and all those people who are backing these individuals. They're going to be screwed. Now, there's going to be some. They're going to say, hey, I'm not going down this path. I understand where this is headed. Let me see the facts. What facts do we have? There are no facts. There are no crimes. There's nothing here. Why should we impeach? Those people will be safe. But those individuals that latch onto this, they're going to lose in the end. Now, the Washington Post is reporting that the Trump administration is investigating Hillary's emails, and it seems that they're trying to get ahead of what is coming. Breaking News tweeted out the following. Breaking, Trump administration is investigating the email records of dozens of current and former senior State Department officials who sent messages to then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's private email, developing. And we know there's investigations going on. We know that Bill Barr is heading up investigations into Hillary. And it looks like the Washington Post is trying to get ahead of this story. Now, since Hillary Clinton lost the election, something very interesting has happened to her Clinton Foundation donations. Now, if this was truly a charity that was doing fantastic work, doing great job helping many, many people, there'd be a lot more people who want to donate, right? Because they see the work that they're doing. But very strangely, the donations have been plummeting. Anthem Respect tweeted out the following. Hillary, I'd zip it. When you can't sell out your nation any longer. Since Hillary's election loss, money into the Clinton Foundation plunged 88%. Wonder why? 2016, $216 million. 2017, $26 million. And it's continually dropping. Why do you think this is happening? Because they thought she was going to be in the inside. They thought she was going to win. And guess what? They were paying her to do their dirty work. And guess what? Since she didn't win, there's no reason to pay her anymore. Then we find out that Bill Barr is now visiting Italy. This is why the deep state is panicking. The patriots are digging up all of their treasonous acts. On Friday, George Papadopoulos shared on his Twitter account that AG Barr has been on an official travel in Italy for the past 2 days. He tweeted out the following. AG Barr has been on official travel in Italy for the past 2 days. As I explained months ago on Fox and in my book, Mifsud was an Italian operative handled by the CIA. Italy holds the keys to the kingdom. Right government, right time. Boom. Look what's happening. Let's move on to Flynn, because something very interesting with Flynn is happening. The Department of Justice National Security Section Deputy Chief Deborah Curtis is leaving the Department of Justice effective 9/28/19. She had been assigned to Flynn's case, and the reason for her departure is currently unknown. So it looks like they're seeing the writing on the wall saying, okay, I am out, I am resigning. And this is very interesting, and we'll be talking about Flynn's banner page on his Twitter account in a little bit. Now, as we know, the deep state, they are hitting Trump very, very hard. And the mainstream media, the deep state in coordination, they're pulling out all the stops. They're going for it. And Trump explains why the deep state is hitting him so hard. Take a listen.
What's going on now is the single greatest scam in the history of American politics. The Democrats want to take away your guns. They want to take away your health care. They want to take away your vote. They want to take away your freedom. They want to take away your judges. They want to take away everything. We can never let this happen. We're fighting to drain the swamp, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And you see why we have to do it. Because our country is at stake like never before. It's all very simple. They're trying to stop me because I'm fighting for you, and I'll never let that happen.
Now, Trump is explaining that this is what it looks like when you drain the swamp. At every single wave that they're pushing this information out, the deep state, they're going to be hitting back harder and harder. They're not going to go peacefully into the night. They're going to fight until the very end, and they know what is coming. This is why we're watching this show. But again, who has the facts? Who has the truth? Who has the signatures? Who's following the flow of money? Doesn't matter what the mainstream media is saying. Doesn't matter about the propaganda, because all of those facts, they trump, no pun intended, everything they're trying to do. Let's move on to Jeffrey Epstein, because it looks like the FBI has expanded its investigation to identify more of the billionaire's victims who could provide information on the royal individual that is involved in this. And we know who that is. Who is that? That's Prince Andrew. And the U.S. is opening up an investigation focusing on several potential victims in the hope they can provide more details about Prince Andrew and his connection to the Epstein case. And like we said, it doesn't end with Epstein. This is just the beginning. Because again, Epstein was the front man. There were many operatives behind him orchestrating the entire thing. Now, as we know, the elections are coming up, and we know from Q that voter IDs are going to become very important, and it seems that the push has begun to get voter ID laws passed. Representative Collins tweeted out the following. Republicans have offered multiple election security bills that would secure and punish those who attempt to hack into voting systems. Democrats must bring these bills up for votes, or Congress will miss a chance to safeguard our democracy. Trump responded to Representative Doug Collins and says, voter ID is the best way. Go for it, Doug. This brings us back to post 2610. And Anon asked the question, will voter fraud be exposed before January? Q said, no, 2019 push voter ID based on verifiable intel. Fraud, 2020 plus safeguarded. So it looks like Trump right now is starting the call for voter ID. And it seems that the deep state has gone over the edge now. They have now decided to ban words and place a penalty on a word if you use it. Doesn't this go completely against the First Amendment? Of course it does. This is their argument. They decided to ban or place a penalty on the word illegal alien. And this is in New York. In a stunning attack on free speech, New York City has now banned derogatory use of the term illegal alien. The New York City Commission on Human Rights has also banned threatening to call immigration and custom enforcement on someone. I mean, think about what they're doing right now. They're banning words, and they're saying, oh, well, this relates to hate speech. No, the First Amendment is freedom of speech. Doesn't matter if it's good, if it's hate, it doesn't matter what it is. You can't ban words, and you can't penalize people for saying words. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, let's head on down to the border, because KTRH reported that there are new figures that show illegal immigration to the U.S. is on pace to double this year compared to last. The research from Princeton Policy Advisors projects that 843,000 illegal crossers will be apprehended at the border in 2019. But even more alarming is the projection that nearly 600,000 illegal aliens will successfully cross into the U.S. undetected this year. This number, 843,000 illegals, is greater than the population of Boston, Seattle, and Detroit. Think about that for a second. If you want to push an election to a certain candidate, this is the way to do it with the popular vote. This is why the Founding Fathers said we need an electoral college to counter what we are seeing today. This was a safety net to protect the election system. Now let's talk about General Flynn. He changed his header on his Twitter account, and it looks like it's a paratrooper, and it looks like this individual has his arms spread out. It looks like he has a parachute on, and this individual looks like he's ready to jump. And when we look at this, this reminds us of a certain post, and this is post 2344. And Running the Race tweeted out the following: General Flynn is ready to jump in this pick. That made me think of the Q drop. The 1 year delta is coming up on 10-4. 10 minus 4 equals message received. Are you ready to see arrests? Are you ready to see pain? Are you ready to be part of history? Q 5x5. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.